Welcome in, everybody. Summer camp week 3. We're going to be talking about movement, mindfulness, and joy. And I'm so excited to talk with you about this because these are things that we can insert into our days. We can insert into our weeks. And they're so good for our immune system, our muscle, and our overall health. Now, I've got some slides for you, but I also want this to be very experiential. So a lot of the things that we'll be doing today will be things that you can take into your normal life, take into your day-to-day, and they don't have to be anything formal. They don't have to be a big pocket of time. I want you to leave with a toolbox full of nice little bite-sized pieces where you can encourage more mindfulness and encourage more movement in your day-to-day and weeks to weeks. So the 4 things that we'll be talking about today, we'll be doing a mindful experience, a couple actually, so that you can pick and choose which one feels good to you. We'll also talk about movement and its effect on blood sugar. We'll do a little bit of experimenting with movement for joy, and then make a plan for your winning day, your winning week, so that you can have more mindfulness, more calm, more ease, more flow, and very healthy muscles. Because as we learned in the trivia, after age 30, humans can lose 3 to 5% of their muscle mass every decade. So keeping muscle is so important. So we'll talk about how muscle can be supported in the areas of movement, but why it's also very good for blood sugar. Okay, so a definition. So mindfulness versus meditation. I think a lot of the time these two things get intertwined or they get confused. Mindfulness, when it comes down to the simplicity of it, is a practice of paying attention on purpose without judgment. So it's noticing the moment-to-moment experiences and not needing to change anything. So this practice of mindfulness can really be inserted into a day. It can be the simplicity of looking at a raisin with the lens of a scientist. What is this thing? That can be a mindfulness activity. Versus meditation tends to be a bit more formal. And a lot of the visuals that we see of meditation is somebody sitting, and they're sitting with their eyes closed and they're breathing. That, of course, is meditation. But there's also walking meditation, where you're paying attention on purpose to your walking. There's breath meditation. There are many styles of meditation, especially when we're looking at Eastern cultures. There is even a confluence of mindfulness meditation. So I wanted to just make that distinction because today we're not going to be meditating. We're not going to be doing any necessarily formal practices, but we'll be talking about mindfulness, where these little insertions that we can do of paying attention on purpose without judgment. So mindfulness, this can be hard in a day-to-day for a couple of reasons. One is we live in the 21st century where we are inundated with information and notifications, whether it's from your phone, your email, your kid needs something, your cat needs to be fed, the light turned green, an email popped in. This is what living in the 21st century is like. And the pull on our attention is quite strong, quite vast. So that proves to be challenging for mindfulness. We also live in a productivity culture, especially in the West, where it's not celebrated to take a pause. It's not celebrated to slow down. It's more celebrated to get stuff done, check off the list, accomplish something. So there's almost this push and pull, or almost a bit of a counterculture to be mindful and to slow down or to pay attention on purpose. And then the third piece is a dysregulated nervous system. So many people have told me that they're too stressed out to meditate. And I believe that because sometimes people, when they do like the formal seated meditation practice, their mind goes so fast, or they can't sit still, or watching their breath is stressful. So this is where I like to invite mindfulness in instead of meditation, or as a option in addition to meditation, because the nervous system, if it's so heightened, works really well with bite-sized chunks rather than a full 30-minute sit. And most of it I am biased towards the 30-minute sit. I love that practice for me now, but it used to be really hard for me. And I think for a lot of people, it can be quite the leap to go from the hamster wheel to the sitting on a rock. So just naming these three things, this 21st century culture, this productivity culture, and the dysregulated nervous system, I want to keep those in mind as to how can we find alternatives. So what can happen in the body when we're constantly under this state of stress is we get into fight or flight mode. And this chronic stress means that the sympathetic nervous system is dominant. That means cortisol lifts, cortisol raises, and adrenaline raises as well. In the cells have a response to this. So the liver holds on to sugar all of the time. But when stress hormones happen, it usually floods it out a little bit faster. And so stress increases blood sugar. But then that effect makes it so that the body is not as sensitive to its own insulin. So the signaling gets mishapped. Long term, that means your blood sugar can be high when you're fasting. You can have more insulin resistance, which can lead to more stress, more heart rate variability being lowered, and more diabetes or blood sugar being high. So it can look like this. It can look like drinking from a fire hydrant, feeling super stressed out. And this is where I want the practices that we'll do today to help so that you can turn down the dials. So if life is coming really fast, if you've got a very large to-do list, if you're feeling that your nervous system is overstimulated, you have the control to dial down the water pressure. So instead, this looks like being able to rest and digest. So this improves digestion. It improves the immune system. It makes your cardiovascular system, your heart, stronger and more resilient. It even improves fertility and healthy sexual response. Sometimes rest and digest is called rest, digest, and reproduce. So on the cellular level, that's when the liver releases blood sugar when we need it. So instead of the sugar being released all at once, it says, oh, the body needs some sugar, and it's a bit more responsive to it. So we'll do two today. And what I invite you to do for the first one is to find a comfortable way of being. So if you'd like, you can turn off your video, you can close your eyes. It will be just a couple of minutes of experiencing breath and experiencing what it's like to regulate the nervous system. So give yourself a moment. And I encourage you to let the eyes close, but you're also welcome to lie down and find a comfortable seat or shift around. If you'd like to stand, you're welcome to stand. Okay. So once you're settled, place your hands over your belly. And take a nice deep inhale. Nice full exhale. And keep your hands on your belly for right now, just as a resting place. And we'll come back to them in a moment. Feel your feet firmly on the ground. If you're lying down, feel yourself be supported by the ground beneath you. And see if you can make the parts of your body that are being held even a little bit heavier. Another deep breath in. Breath out, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Deep breath in. Breath out, create some space between the molars. Soften the jaw. Deep breath in. Breath out, soften the eyebrows. Soften the muscles of the forehead. One more deep breath in. And breath out, let the low belly soften. Now bring the attention to the hands. And as you inhale, see if you can breathe into the palms of your hands. And as you exhale, see if you can let the palms of your hands move closer towards your belly button, closer towards your spine. Inhale into your palms. And exhale, soften, release. Inhale into your palms. Exhale, soften, release. Twice more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then simply pause. Let yourself rest in this space of awareness. You can continue to pay attention to your breath. Breathe into the low belly. And with each exhale, can visualize the softening of the armor. So if there's any tension in the body, you soften it with the breath out. Let's take one last breath together. Full inhale. Complete exhale. Let the arms rest at your sides. Let the eyes flutter open. And we'll come back to our shared space. Take your time. And as you're coming back, you let that be a mindfulness practice as well. Just noticing how the body feels. Notice the breath. Notice the state of your being. And then in this space, I'd love for you to take a moment to think in your mind of 3 things that you are grateful for. And this, you can let them roll through. It might be very fast to think of some pieces of joy from your day, some people in your life who you're very grateful for. Maybe it's as simple as the ability to breathe and having a roof over your head. Think of 3 things that you're grateful for. And then once you have them, or once you have at least one, I'd love to see in chat. You can write it down, can put it through the chat. If you have a journal that you'd like to write it in, can write it there. Reason being is we do this practice for mindfulness of just paying attention to the breath, releasing the body. It has a profound effect on the nervous system. Even just the practice for a couple of minutes has a long effect. But then when we pair it with gratitude, when we have this double bonus, this helps to move the body from a fight or flight into rest and digest. And as these are coming in, I can't wait to see what some of them are. The pieces of learning to steer. So if you're having that fire hydrant experience where there's so much coming at you and it's feeling overwhelming, One of the tricks that we can use is to lean on gratitude to help the nervous system steer from this fight or flight into rest and digest. And one of the examples I like to use is if you are thinking very ancient times, if you are under attack and you are being chased by a predator, the last thing that usually happens in your mind is, I'm so thankful for my legs right now. I'm so thankful for my ability to run. I'm so thankful for my muscles. It's usually not the first thing. Usually we can be so tunnel visioned into the stressful moment that wide lens goes away. So we can use these tools like gratitude, breath practice, relaxing the body to move the nervous system from fight or flight into rest and digest. And I'm loving seeing these come in. I'm feeling thankful for the food that you grow, great friends, kids, grandchildren, spouse. These are such wonderful examples of things that can work to bring back into your day, especially if you are feeling stuck in that fight or flight in that sympathetic nervous system. So my challenge for you is to connect something that you do every day with a moment for gratitude. So for example, anytime you get out of your car, think of something you're grateful for. Anytime you wash your hands, think of something you're grateful for. Anytime you check your phone. It can be any habit, but choose one habit and then begin to string it together with some moments of gratitude. This can be so profoundly beneficial for the nervous system, and it can help to take that wider lens so we move from that fight or flight into rest and digest. Okay, I'm excited to hear how it goes for you. I'm going to pop back into screen share and we'll go into our next piece, which is the movement versus working out. Now, movement is moving your body with joy, finding some ability to wiggle, stretch, move, get up out of your seat, versus working out is very much a container, similar to mindfulness versus meditation, where you're setting aside time, going to do this workout for this amount of time, and it can be very formal. Now, today we're going to be talking about movement and how this can be a way to insert joy, to insert mindfulness, maybe even insert gratitude, and have it be in these small snacks throughout the day, little sips, as opposed to a very rigid formal working out, which sometimes I think can be thought of as punishment, or you have to earn your calories or something like this. This is not what we're talking about today. And so same reasons why movement can be hard is we live in the 21st century. People are busy. There's a lot of demands on our time. We live in productivity culture where self-care is sometimes thought of as selfish, and putting exercise as a mandatory part of your day is not always celebrated. And then a dysregulated nervous system. Now, this is where I'll try not to be on my high horse about this, but think about if you are feeling stressed. If you're feeling stressed most of the day and you have high cortisol, your adrenaline's going, and then you go do a HIIT workout, that is fuel to the fire. And that can be more dysregulating to the nervous system and have a counter effect than what we're hoping to accomplish. So some of these things can be things to be mindful of. If you are having a lot of demands on your time, if you are in a more stressed out state most of the time, we can explore alternatives of how to insert movement in versus a very intense exercise form. And the physiology here is, I want you to be strong versus skinny. Like that muscle trivia fact about how we, as humans, we can lose muscle every decade. I would so much rather you have strength and have strong muscles, because when a muscle contracts, like when a muscle flexes, this actively pulls sugar out of the bloodstream so that the body uses it. And this does not matter how much insulin is in your system, how much you're making, or how much you're using. The body does this with muscle and sugar, and this is a relationship. So the more muscle you have, the more you're able to regulate your own blood sugar. And this gives an immediate blood sugar regulating effect. So a little bit of movement goes a long way when it comes to regulating blood sugar. Long term, This means that the body uses muscle as its largest reservoir, so that if you need fuel, the body has it. If you have too much fuel, like if you have too much ice cream, the body will use it. The muscles will take care of it for you. So the more muscle you have, the more added insurance you have for long-term health. This is a really cool statistic. And this is for those of you who have done some of the continuous glucose monitoring, this will look familiar to you. But this is the same person on 3 different days having the same lunch. I want to show you what happens here. So this first one, you can see they're 12 p.m. having lunch. And then for the rest of the day, or for the rest of the afternoon, they just sat at their desk. So they have their lunch, their blood sugar goes up after lunch, which is, it's good, it's still healthy. But then it continues to stay high and it goes even higher just from the pure sedentary way of being in the afternoon. Versus this person had the same lunch, 12 p.m. lunch. They went for, and you can see that they're digested it a little bit faster this time, but then they still had that blood sugar spike. And then they went for a 15-minute walk 2 hours after lunch. So around 2 o'clock, they went for a 15-minute walk and their blood sugar starts to come down and is a lot more stable in the afternoon. The third scenario, same person, same meal. They have their 12 p.m. lunch and then immediately afterwards, they go for a 15-minute walk. And then their blood sugar is steady the entire afternoon. But this is so cool to me. This is using the tools that we have, using muscle as medicine, and using these little hacks of, it doesn't have to be something very intense. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be a 15-minute walk, but choosing the specific time of when we do it. So we're going to do a practice on this, and it's coming soon. So get yourselves ready mentally. I always like to warn you before we're going to do something. But what we can do right now is grab your calendar, whether you use your phone or if you have a paper calendar or if you're on your calendar on a computer, and choose a time to go for a walk after a meal every day this week. Now, it doesn't have to be every meal. We want to start small and start sustainable, but choose a time and put it on your calendar as a non-negotiable meeting that this is happening. I'm going for a walk after this mealtime. We'll give you a moment to grab your calendars and choose a meal that afterwards you have some movement. Now, it can be a walk. It can be dancing in your living room. It can be one of these little mini practices that we're going to do quite soon. It can be any movement that brings you joy, but have it as an after meal activity penciled into your calendar. If you have plans for a mealtime, let's say you're going out to breakfast with a friend, perfect. Let them know. Say, hey, I'm experimenting with this thing. I'm going to try going for a walk after breakfast. Do you want to go? Do you want to plan to go on a walk with me? So that you've got it as a accountability person. Okay. And I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear when you end up doing it or how it goes. And especially for those of you using the continuous glucose monitor still, it'll be interesting to see what you notice on same, if you can, same meal, different day, with putting a movement routine afterwards versus not. I'm going to see what happens with the body. All right. If you put cute animal presentations, people pay more attention and they release dopamine. So as you saw the announcement for this talk today, you might have noticed a cute little kitty taking a big stretch. That was on purpose so that you maybe have a little bit of dopamine, a little bit of that happiness, and get you excited about it. So happiness and your health, what we're seeing in the research are linked to a stronger immune response. We're seeing this at the cellular level with antibodies. So if you are sick and then you're experiencing a positive emotion or have a strong social connection, your body has a stronger immune response and creates more antibodies. So that's really cool. We're also seeing that happiness lowers inflammation. Now, this is something you can measure in your blood. If you have more positive affect, we see lower inflammatory cytokines, especially IL-6, but also CRP. So these two inflammatory markers physically go down when happiness goes up. On the flip side of that, like we talked about with stress, if people are under chronic amounts of stress or feel a negative affect, immune system gets suppressed. And we know this to be true. People who have higher amounts of stress have lower resilience with their immune system. So if we can cultivate the opposite, even in small sips, even if just looking for a cute picture of a puppy or cultivating gratitude, this is such a good strategy long-term for immune system health and overall health, especially with the nervous system. So I'm gonna do my best to insert this into your day today. Now, I put snack time because it wouldn't be summer camp without snacks. And for those of you who have done our September challenge last year, we did a challenge of exercise snacks. Now, this is the cutest little phrase. I hadn't heard of it before, but this Monica, our health coach, put this together of a challenge to do snacks of exercise instead of a big 20 to 30 minute exercise routine. Now, these are some examples of things that you can do. Doing squats, lunges, holding plank, doing mountain climbers for 30 to 60 seconds. Now, what makes it a snack is that small amount of time. If you're tight on time, and if you still want to have the benefits, exercise snacks can be so wonderful to insert in. And this snack time is what we'll try together. So I'm going to encourage you to hop up out of your chairs. We're going to do an exercise snack together. And the exercise snack that I have prepared for us is squats, air squats. If that does not feel good on your body right now, plank. If you're able to do plank, you can do it on your wrist if that's okay. Otherwise, you can do it on your forearms. Extra points because it's a little bit harder. But squats will be the one that we use together. And we're going to insert a little bit of joy as well. So this is where it gets really fun. Here we go. Come on back. Catch your breath. Great job. So that was very beneficial for cardiovascular system, for your muscles, for using muscle as medicine. It's great for blood sugar. If you're tight on time, if you are low on motivation, these are one of the best things that you can insert into your day. Now, I don't know about you, but 60 seconds was effective. Like I'm feeling it. And so these small little bursts of exercise can be as beneficial as a longer pocket of time. This can be especially great for recovery too. If you are in a space where exercise just really isn't quite right for your body right now. The PDF that you just saw a slide of, I'll be sure to share it with you guys so that you can see some of these other exercise options. All right, so the last piece, thank you so much for doing that with me. You all are very great sports. I hope that bringing the music in was a double whammy so that you're getting the joy as well. So here's those exercises again. If you want to practice dead bugs, bird dogs, mountain climbers, planks, always happy to help with these. If you're not sure what they are, Monica's got the great archives, but then you can also feel free to ask at any time. So to recap, I want to thank you because these things that you're doing for yourself, these mindfulness activities, these engagement and movement, bringing more joy and happiness into your world is such a gift to your body. A calm nervous system keeps your blood sugar happy, keeps your stress hormones in balance. Muscle as medicine keeps your blood sugar stable and healthy. And then genuine happiness and social connection support lower inflammation and a healthy immune system. But the piece that I think is even more important than that is that when you feel your best, it is such a gift to the world. So you feeling happy and healthy helps to inspire happiness and health in other people. And I thank you for trying something new, for trusting me with your care, and for sharing your light with the world, because it really is such a gift. So take good care of yourselves. And I'll pause the recording if there are any last minute questions or reflections on today. And I will see you next week for our last week of summer camp.